I just wanted to do part 2 of this video. What we were basically talking about last time was occupying the target's time, how these groups, they try to impose system of rewards and punishments based on that, almost like a deranged hide and go seek with them, and they encourage that by following bogus clues and leads. And their system of rewards and punishments on the target is communicating and associating with other people. Their reward is causing problems for you in the long run by sending you on bogus leads and bogus endeavors, which do nothing to help your situation, but which furthers the situation with the stalkers. Audio surveillance is another thing here. It's saying that the stalker groups will sometimes install audio bugs in the residence. Typically they use inexpensive bugs which broadcast on frequencies which can be monitored by other group members using scanners, but expensive bugs are reserved for high-level targets such as those that are in politics or in the business world, people with deep pockets. If they do install a bug, the group members will be able to listen inside the target's home by listening to telephone calls, by listening to conversations, seeing who they bring over to try to get in on that side, you know, to try to get them to participate. And if they choose not to participate, hell, then they become the next target. So pretty much people will begin to ignore you because of that fact, because they don't want to, you know, sort of, you know, they don't want to get dirty too. So they'll, you know, in order to save them and their families, they'll actually not communicate with you anymore and will, you know, tell their children, no, don't hang around with him, don't be with him anymore because he's involved in some stuff and we got to keep our hands clean. Really. They will also monitor frequencies used by baby monitors and wireless intercoms, and if they are able to, they will also monitor cell phone conversations. Conventional scanners can be used to listen to conversations conducted on older cordless phones such as 800 and 900 megahertz, but digital scanners are available that are in Canada and Mexico, which can pick up the newer cell phones. And the thing with cell phones is that the communication is very they change their broadcast frequencies very frequently. That leaves gaps in the communication for those who are listening to. But these scanners from Canada and Mexico, they're actually able to pick that up. Some important points here is saying the primary focus of all these harassment tactics are the group members, not the actual target. The group members are the ones who are being programmed, and the group leaders define reality for their members. So it doesn't matter if their tactics work or not on a target. I mean, you have these leaderships that know what the reason is behind organized gang stalking, but they disinform their members, so that what happens is that the members go out and fight a war or fight a campaign against somebody, but meanwhile the true intentions of the leader himself is quite different. So that's what we mean when we say that they're the ones being programmed, that they're the ones being brainwashed, not you. What about the police? I know a lot of people ask that question. This states here that groups have no respect for the law or for those who enforce it. They consider themselves to be superior, partially because of the crimes that they can get away with. It becomes a game, you know, it becomes a situation where they get away with these crimes. And well, I mean, let's face it, I mean, it's empowering, you know, if you can get away with something, it's empowering. It makes you want to do it more. Same concept as that, if there's no punishment for the crime, if they're able to operate without any repercussions, so that in itself, you know, makes it stronger for them and gives them more of a reason to do it. So in small towns, the number of members in these groups can easily exceed the number of police officers. So that's another thing to consider, is that police officers may have a staff of like 400 or 500 people, 400 or 500 officers, but if you have these groups that go into the hundreds and thousands, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you have 3 members for every police officer. I mean, really, what can the state do in that sense? It's perplexing. Groups claim that they have the support of some police officers, and if so, it's not many, but there are a few that are crooked, and that's all it takes is just one crooked law enforcement officer, one crooked politician to essentially to contaminate the rest of us. So that's with that. They also use the mentality behind them. They also use the mentality behind them. The mentality behind the groups is that there's this idea of coercive persuasion, which I will describe now. Starfish Girl here states that coercion is defined as to restrain or constrain by force. Legally, it often implies the use of physical force or physical legal threat. This traditional concept of coercion is far better understood than the technological concepts, of coercive persuasion, which are effective in restraining, impairing, or compelling through the gradual application of psychological forces. Over time, coercive persuasion, a psychological force akin in some ways to our own legal concepts of undue influence, can be more effective than pain, torture, drugs, contamination, and use of physical force and legal threats. With coercive persuasion, you could change people's attitudes without their knowledge and volition, which is interesting, because this coercive persuasion is so effective that you can essentially change somebody's life forever because of it. Now, you could say to somebody, okay, well, this person says to stop smoking. Okay, fine. But if that person applies coercive persuasion, such as showing you pictures, showing you images of these, without telling you to stop smoking, they'll just show you these things, show you what your behavior produces in the end result, and therefore coercively persuade you to stop smoking without even having to say stop smoking. So in terms of organized gang stalking, what they do, they show you people who are legitimate, either somebody who has done a crime or something like that, has done a crime, and instead of showing you how to get to becoming a criminal, they show you the end result. So that in itself is coercive persuasion. It also continues here, the advances in extreme anxiety and emotional stress reduction technologies found in coercive persuasion supersede old-style coercion that focuses on pain, torture, drugs, or threats, in that these older systems do not change the attitude so that the subject follows orders willingly. Coercive persuasion changes both the attitude and behavior, not just the behavior. So see, that's what I'm saying about the smoking situation and organized gang stalking. Using rewards and punishments, efforts are made to establish considerable control over a person's social environment, time, and sources of social support. Social isolation is promoted. Now we say person's social environment. Perhaps it's where they live, where they spend an inexorable amount of time, or somebody's job. They'll park in your spot. They'll give you back a pen without the cap. They'll hand you a pen that's leaking and give it to you. They'll start rumors and gossip, around you, not to you directly, because to you directly, would seem more effective, but that could be old school. New school is now to affect your environment, so that it's no longer a situation where you see a problem. Okay, well, that's the problem. Okay, fine, I'm glad you told me, and therefore the behavior stops. But through the environment, people start to wonder, what the heck is going on here? And that's what we talk about when we say environment. Their time, control where they go, how long they are where they are. If they go to the supermarket, they can only spend a half hour there. And a lot of it is based on what's convenient for the stalking group, not the person. Because let's face it, these stalkers, they don't want to be left watching carts go by and cars leaving and coming into a supermarket. They want you out this way so that they can apply more pressure to you. Sources of social support, like I said, they'll through intimate infiltration, they'll try to get in with your friends, with your spouses, with your acquaintances, anybody that they can use that is in your life. They can go ahead and affect that, which will again affect your environment. And then lo and behold, you realize I have no friends, and by then you're like, holy cow, what happened to all my friends? Who am I going to tell my problems to? Who can I relate to? Nobody. So that's forced isolationism. Internet news groups and forums. There are internet news groups which cater to stalking victims. These groups are heavily populated with members of extremist groups. They pose as victims. Their posts relate to the latest high-tech weapons and information, how they are being used against them. So keep your eyes open on that. Anyway, so this is part 2. I seriously hope that this helps you folks, and take care.